Sup guys, welcome to another episode of winGr Weekly. The music is brought to you by Pigeon Lake. So, as you can see, it's a viewer video this week, so that means that I possibly have been reading your comments. And I want to address mostly what you have been bringing up in the comment sections. So we'll be covering three topics. So it will be not a lengthy video on one topic, which I normally tend to do, but it will be a fairly long, lengthy video on three topics, depending on how much I have to say about it. Now bear in mind that not all of these things are scientifically accurate. Some of them just happen to be my view on them, so bear that in mind. But I guess if you don't really know too much about the game, it's gonna help you either way. So, inconsistent scores. Basically, the first thing we need to look at is the kind of stuff that affects how you play and your score. And that's going to be your mental attitude. Basically, if you're worn out, if you're physically tired or mentally tired, that's going to have an effect. Of course, the level of the opponents you're facing is going to vary from game to game. So you might be in a game where there's a lot of new players that you are able to beat, and you might be in another game where you find yourself with the good players. The ranking system in matchmaking is so wacko that an eagle player can just as well be a noob as a seasoned veteran. And of course you have other natural variants, such as the same variants in your teammates. Your teammates can have a bad day, or they could have a good day and lift your score up as well. So how do you deal with it? Well, basically there's no real way. If you watch my how to prepare for officials video, you will find a set of instructions there that might be able to help you. In addition to that, there is deathmatch, a lot of it, to make sure that aim is steady as hell. You also have to do a lot of pugs or scrims or mixes or whatever you decide to call them, or matchmaking for that matter, but you gotta play a lot to get the experience needed. So basically that's the only way. You need to get some hours under your belt in gameplay. Counter-Strike is probably one of the few games in the world where 500 in-game hours still doesn't qualify you as a seasoned veteran. You are still by definition a noob. Not because of your skill, but just because that we can see that you haven't been in the game for that long. The next topic is peeking, so we're gonna go jump in game for that. There's a lot of people who are wondering what peeking is, how to do it effectively, whatnot. So I'm gonna use this here ledge on long. Now, what a lot of peeking, in a sense, is you want to obtain some information that you cannot obtain safely. Say you are standing on long, holding long, and you are standing safe behind this ledge. You haven't heard them, but you have a feeling because that they might be there. Then you do a single peek, which is basically you just quickly strafe out to the corner and back again, so that you just spot a little bit. Now, the fault that a lot of players do is they peek and they see them. They peek once and they see them, and then they run back out to encounter them. But you might always get shot there. So if you're gonna decide to do a dancing peek, as I like to call it, you're gonna have to do that almost in the entire round, just standing and more or less dancing. Now the problem with peeking is you don't want to be caught in a rhythm. Say you are standing at long and you're trying to get them as they cross. Now you might be able to get one or two as they cross, but some of them are going to pit. Now you might be trying to peek this spot right here, but if you peek and you get in a rhythm, then a guy with the AWP can just wait and smack, appreciate you. So one of the most important things is basically not to get in a rhythm. You can peek once or twice, and then you have to wait a little bit, peek once, and then you can. So you gotta You gotta randomize the pace a little bit, just so that you don't become predictable in your peaking. So yeah, that's a big issue with peaking. A lot of people who do it wrongly tend to get owned, because basically when you're peaking, you're standing so close to the edge that you, as long as they fire in this vicinity and have a decent spread. Say there's one guy on cat that is peaking. If you just keep hammering this area, you know you're gonna hit him with a couple of bullets. So that's basically the same as they will do with you. So you want to switch up the timings and how far you go out on each peak. Like, you don't want to keep this exact narrow peak every single time. Sometimes you might want to run all the way out there just to strafe out. But that again, that comes into the whole movement part, which we'll be covering next. Is movement, which is basically, I had one comment saying that he often lost control of his crosshair and his crosshair placement. He said that was long distances, but that mostly has to do with unsteady aim. So there's no real way to cover that except you getting yourself better mouse control. But we can look at ways of controlling your crosshair. So let me just change to something more that will show it better, if I can recall. Classic dynamic, that's it. Okay, so imagine you are... Actually, I can't work with this, I'm sorry. I'm old timer. It's simply too much. But yeah, if you haven't really understood by now, W is your worst enemy. If you and I had my brother Nick that I tried to coach a little bit. He had this idea in his head that as long as you strafed while holding W, you would be okay. But look, I'm gonna hit this wall while running. See the bullet spread? It's horrible. And I'm gonna forward strafe while doing it, holding W and A. And it's still pretty shitty. It's somewhat better, but basically the idea is you wanna forward strafe, forward run or forward strafe, and then you wanna go into a strafe, and then you wanna cancel out the strafe so that you have a declining pace. If you shoot in a declining pace, your bullet's gonna be accurate. So you want to shoot in between when your pace is declining. I might actually decide to move my webcam in order to show you this, but I don't really have a support for it. Yeah, I'm gonna make a jerry rig of sorts. Give me 2 seconds. This is gonna be awesome. I'm gonna use my center speaker for the monitor. Give me a second there, guys. It's like improvised. I didn't really plan to do this. So does this work? You can see I'm gonna do it super simple so that you can see my A and D keys. I should have thought of this before I started making the video. Turn the lights down a little bit. I don't think you guys can see that. My cable's not long enough. I guess that's better than nothing. Yeah, you can see that. Okay, so basically you can basically time the shots with my cancel move. You see me pressing the opposite strafe key every single every single time I cancel out, you can see me hit. You can see the accuracy with the 2-shot bursts and the strafing. So we basically covered that part, and I'm gonna quickly hop up to catwalk because I'm gonna be covering strafing as well. Because if you just strafe run, say you hold in just the A button, you can see the accuracy is somewhat decent, but it's not perfect. So if you are simply just releasing the button when you are strafing out from a corner, that will give you better accuracy. So you gotta make a judgment call. Like if you see someone, for instance in tunnel or in the suicide, you can basically pre-shoot him. Though I still prefer the stop motion, but you gotta make a judgment call on that. And you also have a term known as dancing. I previously said the dancing peaking, if you can recall. Dancing is pretty much the same thing. Say you are in a 1v1 in an open area. I'm gonna show you on the wall how accurate it is. You're gonna basically be just so you're gonna try to time your bursts with your dancing, but basically you moving back and forth like this makes your whole hitbox a little bit more juggly, or you become more difficult to hit. So and that kind of makes it more difficult for your opponent to hit you, which is what a lot of people do. One more topic I wanna briefly touch up on. I'm gonna move the camera back. Sorry for that, guys. That took a little bit longer than it should. Ah, my pretty face again. Why, thank you, camera. Alright, so pre-shooting. A lot of you have probably felt the pain. A lot of you know what it is, and then a lot of you would like to know what it is, and I'm gonna show you. Basically, I talked about it briefly when I showed you this spot on catwalk that you could get pre-shot, and basically that's what you should do. You should pre-shoot this area. So when you know the maps really, really, really well, I know that for a fact if I stand like this and I peek out, I'll shoot here. So it's basically knowing where to aim, where to place your crosshair before turning the corner, and then trying to shoot on your way with the peak. So you basically, when you try to run outwards, you basically start shooting over here. So basically, it's just a quick peek, but you shoot on the first peek instead of peeking and verifying that your target's there, and then peek again and shoot. What you instead try to do is you wanna shoot on the first peek preemptively, so that if he's there, you will get a kill. It's as simple as that. So what I oftentimes end up doing is pre-shot this corner, pre-shot this corner, and also perhaps pre-shoot red eye, pre-shoot all the most known locations. Because if you have already pre-shot this location, then the guys at spot know you're here, so you might as well even pre-shoot this location, but you might as well pre-shoot every other location, so that if they are standing and peeking and trying to shoot you as you come, you might get a lucky kill. So a lot of times when somebody comes around the corner and shoots you before you even get to see them, then that is often a pre-shot, and you should know better than to stand in a standard position, damn it. That's basically the lesson of the day. Which also is the reason why you see a lot of CTs, a lot of the good ones at least, they tend to be constantly on the move, even though they are holding catwalk. They're not like standing in a very standard spot just watching one angle. They might be trying to stray for a little around site, because they know how to cancel out their movements in order to gain a full accuracy with their rifles. So yeah, stay in motion on site, guys, and I guess that's it for this Winger Weekly. We'll be getting more Winger Weeklies, but I kind of like doing these kind of videos. So use the comment section and leave me comments about stuff that you want to do, want me to do, basically. Because I kind of like it. And also you can use, so of course, the commentary field here and on Reddit. You can tweet me questions. Let me just change this title so you know what my Twitter is. Give me a second. So yeah, you can tweet me stuff as well. Also, be sure to, if you follow me on Twitter, you should be able to catch my streams as well, which is basically, I'll try to get that in there, if my dyslexia wasn't acting up. I don't have dyslexia, I just like to say so. So yeah, that's all the information you need to get in touch with me and ask me questions. And if I'm streaming, you might even be able to catch them live. How about that? Till next week, this has been winGr, signing out.